Ooh, it's time. Doesn't it sound like just like some Friday night, 11 o'clock? And it sounds like this isn't a romantic show. No, it's not. This is where we get down and dirty. Down and dirty time. Welcome to the Fourfold Formula for All Things Wellness mini-series. This is episode 7. I think I actually called last night's show somewhere in social media episode 7, but apparently I can't count. Why did we do the mini-series? We did the mini-series because we actually had 40 authors write in this book, which is now available on Amazon, the 4-Fold Formula for All Things Wellness. Go out there and get your copy. You can have it in softback, have your copy. And if you buy a copy right now and email me at peggy@allthingswellness.com, I will also send you a free copy autograph so you can buy one and give one. Isn't that cool? And Kindle version is on sale right now, $1.99 until Thursday, which is tomorrow, 12 noon, $1.99. Go get it. That way you don't have to carry this 1.4-pound book of such value with you. You'll have a Kindle and a book. All right, so mini-series is about bringing you the authors that we go a little bit deeper into their story so that you can go get the book, read their story. And I have Diane here today. She's going to come into the room. Hailing in from Canada.
Hello. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Oh, you say it so well.
Bonjour, mademoiselle. Hi. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
Great.
Happy hump day. That's what it was known when I was in school. Wednesday was hump day.
I know. That was like when we were supposed to get over the middle of something. We who work now, or we who have families, or like there's no middle of anything. Right? It's like everything is everything.
It's all or nothing. There's no middle.
It's black and white. Neither we don't do gray. We type A's, you and I.
Oh, for sure.
You know, we're trying to do a little bit better, aren't we? All right.
Those were your words, not mine, Peggy.
No shit. I'm trying, girl.
I
Walk
know.
the talk and talk the walk.
I know. Gray is actually, I am, funny you say that. I am wearing gray today. I didn't see, there you go. Maybe that's a sign from the universe.
It's a sign from the universe. All right. So your story is about adoption. So
it is.
You guys listening, whether you're walking or whether you are watching and listening, adoption is one of those subjects, super cool subject to talk about. I was adopted by my stepfather. I still do not know my biological father face to face. I know his name. Apparently he might not be that interested in me. Oh, his loss. But adoption is many choices for families. If you can't have children, adoption is for people who just want to have a baby, and maybe they have 20 babies already. Who cares? No judgment. And there's so many different facets. And what I loved about when Markus and I got Diane's story, it really did take a cool twist that I wasn't expecting. And that's what we're going to talk about, is kind of your view on the word adoption and kind of what comes along with it. So, hi. This is where I sip coffee and you give us. So when you were thinking about writing for the book, did it automatically just go like, I'm going to write about my adoption story? Is that kind of part of your identity or something you think about a lot?
Well, okay. So when the opportunity to be part of this project came along, admittedly, for some time, I had already sat down and probably banged out, I don't know, a few thousand words, and they were about my story, and they were sitting on a USB key in the depths of one of my purses. That's as far as it was. I know, I'm ashamed to say that now. Well, I mean, I'm not, but it's, I'll be honest, it's the truth. So I was put onto this, and I can't really explain why. It never really went any further than the bottom of my purse, except that, like many other people, I was always able to find the excuse of, I don't have time. My career is, I'm busy, I'm working, and, I'm tired, and, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're all guilty of it on some level. But it was still up there. And And so when this opportunity to participate in your project was brought to my attention, I kind of had an aha moment, and I said, there were two things. I said to myself, hey, this could be the place where I can
Clean out
find,
my purse.
find that USB key in the bottom of my purse. and the other thing was that I knew it would be a situation where I would be supported, and I wouldn't be alone in trying to get this out there. And I think on some level too, I knew that based on what I had read and learned about you, I also felt that, hey, this is somebody who really has a lot of experience, knows what she's talking about. And it was like I just had the confidence that you would be in a position to, I guess, really, really confirm, which I already knew, but really confirm that, hey, this needs to be told. There's a lot of people who could benefit from what you've got to say. So that's really how the ball got rolling after that. So yeah, I dumped out the purse, and the physical part was dumped out the purse, found dumped the content out the USB, and but then obviously I had to start to kind of pick and choose what what I was going to start out with as an outline to you. So that's how it started.
It's so interesting that whether people think they have stories to tell or not to tell, we do, right? And then yesterday, talking to Ziggy, I believe, at the noon hour mini-series yesterday, and he says he's always been a writer since he was 7, and his was, even if he could find a gum wrapper or a piece of paper, like he'd have thought. So his was just trigger, but he never really, in journals and all this stuff, but he never really thought of like the public forum per se to get them kind of out there ish. And and then there are people that really have, because your story, I would say, not only is it an experience that you went through, but when I think of you, I think of a particular stance to the experience where it's like, it's kind of like an advocate in the sense of like, hey, there's another view on this. There's another view from my eyes that I want to share in this story. So take us through. And people, you go out and get this book on Amazon, Kindle version, whatever, read Diane's story. Let's talk about, we don't have to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I'd really like to talk about the good. There are some different things with adoption, different sides to look at, but let's talk about your story and why I think it's different.
Well, you're right. You're right that there's often the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I sincerely believe from the bottom of my heart, based on my own experience, there was no ugly. I mean, virtually no bad, and most definitely no ugly. And so I don't fall into that camp of, and I mean, I'm not discrediting anybody else who does, but but I don't fall into that category of people that have gone on into their adult lives and really are held back by a number of bad memories and negative experiences, all based around their adoptive situation. I mean, I am so far removed from that it's not even part of who I am. So I think that what my particular situation really brings to the table for people who are considering even wanting to build a family through adoption is that it does not, I mean, based on my experience anyway, I mean, it does not have to be anything to be afraid of. It does not have to be anything to be viewed as oh, well, but it's different. I mean, that is just not even was not even part of my vocabulary growing up, or my family's vocabulary growing up, that I was somehow, different because I was the adopted kid. I mean, no. So the title within your book, I mean, I purposely put the word real in there because that's exactly what it is. And
And
I
tell
think
us the title. Tell us the title.
yes, I am my parents' real child.
Right.
As if like you would even dare question that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, our DNA and our genes, we all know that they play a big part in what we look like, and sometimes physical ailments that come along later in life, and
Right.
so on and so forth. I won't get into that, but I definitely don't believe that they have anything to do with how a child fits into a family, and how that child ultimately, when he or she grows up, how they view their family. Now, that said, I was also in a very fortunate situation of having been adopted when I was an infant. So I completely would agree that coming into my parents' home at 2.5 months old versus 5 years old, that's also two different scenarios. And I can't speak to the scenario of a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old, or children being adopted from long-time foster care. I cannot speak to that. But I think what I really want to convey to people is that the any fears or myths that you've heard, and hesitation that you may have about embarking upon adoption, because you may or may not be able to have children of your own the natural way, that there's no need to have those fears and those worries. And you know what? I mean, if both of my parents, who are 88 and 90 years old, if they were in this discussion, they would 110%, maybe 1,000% confirm exactly what I'm saying. So, so I mean, people who people who are, I say people who are interested in going down that path. I can understand that they might have all kinds of questions, and in particular, if they don't know anybody in their own immediate family or friend circle who has adopted a child. I understand they may have those questions and those fears and anything else that surfaces up, but call me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm happy to.
Let's give your. Let's absolutely do that right now, and we can do it again in a little bit. So go ahead and give your contact information, because this book is not just about blabbing our story and throwing it out there. It's creating a
Right,
platform to connect to people, to
right.
increase relationships, to spider web through stuff. So what's your contact information? People can speak you.
Sure. So the best way is just my email address, which is my last name, so stevens.diane.l@gmail.com. That's the best way to reach me.
All right,
Yep.
I'm getting it in there.
And Peggy, just another point that I will make is that, as you referred to earlier, it is true that, I mean, we all have stories to tell, and one of the things that often comes to mind is that, yes, but I didn't have any of this big significant trauma, or I didn't have anything wildly go wrong in my life like so many other people. So, like, who cares about my story? Who would really want to hear it? And it took me a while to unravel that and say, yeah, but it's a good news story, and so people do need to hear it. people can,
Absolutely.
people can still benefit
Absolutely.
from the
We've had
good
a couple,
outcome.
sister, we've had a couple people in the book that actually felt bad that their story wasn't catastrophic. In all seriousness, so like, Jesus, you're talking about this, and this, and that's not to pull away any, love and care to the catastrophic stories. The point of this is it's all our own path. It's our life resume, and
Exactly.
we
That's
all
right.
own it. And we're allowed to tell our story before somebody else does. And
Totally.
the planet is so huge. Let's just step back. There are plenty of people for everybody. So
Mhm.
you're going to connect with someone, even if your story, you have 5 big events versus if you have one. I mean, and it's
Mhm.
the tools and the approach and the attitude and the energy and the support systems that you have, even if you've done well versus if you haven't. The point is that the trials and tribulations, we're trying to send the message that it's messages of inspiration and motivation and
Yes.
support, and that there are
Yes.
people, more like-minded people than that is thrown around so much, like, well, hang out with like-minded people and positive breeds positivity. Yeah. Like, if you think that's just words, like those are just words, and you haven't experienced it.
Yes.
Because you're from Montreal. I would have never met you. I would have never met any of the other people that are in this book from Jamaica, Africa, London. And the point is that I could call you right now if I was in your town, and you come get me at the airport if I didn't have a ride.
Totally, totally.
You know,
exactly.
and our stories may not relate at all.
Yes,
So
that's right. That's
yours
right.
yours is a feel-good story, and you're going to motivate some people out there to look at adoption differently. They're going to look at it from the lens of a child that can look at it from a positive aspect of going, here's the life I potentially might have had. Because this wasn't hidden from you. Like, this wasn't a big secret you uncovered.
No, and it's just interesting you point that out, because that's so often one of the first questions. Like, once people get beyond the uncomfortableness, is that even a word? I can't remember.
Yeah,
but
it is right now.
It is right now for us.
Done, Webster.
But once people get beyond that, because I've happened to let it drop in conversation, whatever the scenario might be, and may have said, oh yeah, well, I was adopted, blah, blah, blah. And then, people's eyes get big. And oftentimes the first question is, well, how old were you? When did you know? Or how did you find out? And I look at them and I say, well, I've just always known. It's just always been a part of who I am. There was no big earth-shattering moment where my mom and dad said, Diane, like, example, coming home from church,
sit down.
coming home from church on a Sunday morning, and then lunch, and then it's like, now, dear, we have something to tell you.
I found this paper, and then in a family suitcase. Yeah,
absolutely not. So the fact that my parents handled it such that it was never presented as a secret about me, I think obviously and most definitely contributed to the fact that it was just such a normal part of my upbringing. And I mean, one of the biggest pieces of advice I would give to people is, this cannot be but I mean, my opinion, this should not be a secret, and
or shameful,
or whatever kind of label you want to put on it. So it most definitely is one of those subjects that should be taken seriously by the adopted parents. But and I believe I describe in the story about how I my mother just continued to talk about it and drop the word when I was a little kid, until such time I well, I don't want to give it away because it's in the story, but she continued to talk about it until such time a particular incident happened, and I obviously expressed to her I understood what that meant, and that was the end of this. That was the end of it, and life moved on. So,
and it wasn't a time frame where, because my mom was a teen mom. It was kind of how I really related to your story. Same time frame, same year, same everything. Yeah. And the difference between, like, my teenage mother keeping me, back in that day, it was like, hey, go off to this house, have your kid. The kid doesn't come home, the teenager does, and it's like, thought she had a kid,
and nobody talks about it.
So it's interesting that you brought up that aspect of it too, and that it was looked at very positively. And in this story, again, you're right, we don't want to give it all away, but you have been able to, you're blessed to have the data from both sides. So the lens from your adopted parents and the lens of kind of what it might have looked like, or that other way you could have been raised. And so you really privy and blessed to kind of know that, instead of go through life going, is the grass greener on the other side?
Oh, totally. That's so true. And another point that solidified that, I think, as well for me. And I mean, it was not necessarily obvious, but it was just over time as I got older, and within my pharmaceutical career, I've had the opportunity to do a lot of traveling, and and a lot of personal travel as well. And I've been to some interesting places, shall we say, and I got to see that there are parts of the world where, well, I mean, I shouldn't say that it's just other parts of the world, because it can be right in our own back doorstep. But nonetheless, it was when traveling in third world that I slowly started it was coming to my mind that it's like, wow, I could have, what if that had been me? I could have grown up in one of these places where there's just, children upon children, and nobody to call mom and dad, and no hope of having a mom or dad. And how lucky was I that's not where I ended up. So yeah, so you're right. I had that, I developed that perspective over time, and not once did it occur to me, oh, well, I wonder if the grass was greener on the other side. The other side didn't even matter to me. It did not matter. It was not, and remains not a source of deep, bewilderment and questioning and longing for. So, yeah, I definitely had that perspective for all of my life.
And there's so many different facets to this subject, whether you're the one adopting, the husband who doesn't want you to adopt, or same-sex marriage and, you're adopting, or you're the adoptee, or you're against adoption, or you wish you were adopted, or you wish you weren't. I mean, there's one subject, and there's so many different views. Right. And, you look at the same ball, and it's probably, you could do 10 books about just adoption. This view, volume 1, this view is volume 2.
I'll have to get different colored USB keys, I guess.
I think that's a great idea. I think it's a great idea. It's another thing that stood out to me when I read your story is the fact of its mindset. So the approach to, how positive can I spin this and keep spinning this? We go through teenage years where it's like, I hate you, and that's your biological parents.
Oh, and I did that too. Yeah. Like
but you still you still came out the other side. Like you have such a positive outlook on this subject. I don't know you on any other subject but this, but I can still get your vibe and get your integrity and your value system through how you share this story. I mean, I'm in that little piece of your heart with your positivity and your mindset in this approach. And I think that people listening, I hope what they take from this story when they read it is that you can twist your mindset to find the good in this and any other situation, as tough as it can be. And that's why I put your email up. Let me double check. I'm going to put it on the screen for you, Diane, and let's make sure that that's the one you want. Stevens.Diane with 2 N's.L@gmail.com.
That's it, my dear. That's it.
And that's great. And so you guys can reach out to her, and hey, it could even be, how's it feel? Or it could be, can you suggest resources or a book? I don't know, but that's why we're here. That's why we're here. What are your call to action? Some steps someone could take if they are the adoptee. So if they are you, and they have any questions when they're younger, when they think they're a little different, like there's something up, and because the reason I ask that is not a lot of parents are forthright like yours were. Like, hey, this is a situation. We're not going to hide it. We love you no matter what. Family's the family.
Right.
Would you just say, hey, go sit down and ask your parents? Would you what would you say to the? Well,
boy, not ever having specifically experienced that, but yes, I do think that that's the place to start in my mind. That would be the place to start. It would be with your parents, and try to have that open and honest conversation with them for starters.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've also learned, though, is that the dropping your expectations on how you think other people should act or speak or say, that I've learned over time is something you have to you have to make adjustments to. And if so, in that particular situation, for example, if the parents were not willing to come
Right.
forth and be honest and get to that place of making this whole thing a smooth process, well, on some level you also have to accept that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about it being them being wrong. It's just most of us all operate within the space that our emotional mindset
The
allows us
emotional
to.
resiliency we have, yeah.
Yeah.
Adoption is kind of one of the reasons I was asking, is it pinged me when you were speaking, is that adoption is purposeful. I mean,
Yes.
it for most, in most cases, you're not forced into it. Now, there are grandparent situations where it
Yes,
is
that's
the
exactly
best decision to make.
right. Right.
But many people who just all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. What are we going to do? We didn't plan
Yeah.
this, blah, blah, blah. But to me, of the choices of a surprise pregnancy or adoption
Right.
is a little bit
Right.
more purposeful. And so I think of,
Yeah, it's a complete choice. It's
yeah,
a usually as you've mentioned, besides the exceptions, but indeed it's a choice. And so I think by and large, I mean, it's the parents who they make this choice, and then the child ends up being in the position of being the beneficiary of
it's
that
kind of the
choice.
chosen one. I mean, I'm always
Yes.
riding around on unicorns trying to find rainbows, but it's, if you really, I mean, you were 75% chance, let's hope, that you were a chosen option or a
Mm-hmm.
chosen
Mm-hmm.
decision. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
all right, well, everybody needs to go get this book for sure, because I want them to read your story and connect to others. You have a couple of other people in the book that you connected with that you knew already before you even
Yeah,
came into the book.
that's right.
Sylvie was your biggest connection to the book, and I had her on last night. It was so cool. Do people around you in your circle know that you're now a published author and what you wrote about?
I'm slowly getting it out there.
Are you? Good girl.
Yes.
Did you tell your parents prior to, like, what did they know about it at all?
Oh, but the book?
Yeah, do they know
Me?
you
Oh,
shared your story, and
well, they do now. Yes, they do now. But
how do they
not,
feel about it?
well, I mean, they're
It's
proud.
kind
Like,
of
what can
too
I
late,
say?
Mama
It's
Pops.
like,
Thanks for your support. Thanks for the
yeah, but it's always,
content.
I mean, I don't know what to say. Like yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they weren't about to say what? Like, what did you do that
Right,
for?
right.
No, not at all. No, they're proud,
Yeah.
but I mean, they're the ones really that I got to thank for being in a position to be able to do this
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. And again, you guys go get the book on Amazon right now. The Fourfold Formula. 4 has a dash in it, and it's the Fourfold Formula for all things wellness. Say that 3 times fast. Go get your Kindle version until noon tomorrow, $1.99. And look at the connection of Diane, and how you can pull the inspiration out of her to look at something in a positive way on a subject that you may or may not know of. Right? You may not, or you may talk about it over coffee. I don't know. You may not. And then how you get an opportunity to contact someone from another country, another subject, another view. In the world today, I think even if we agree to disagree, it's about connection, or we can't get out of this shit. We can't
That's
get
right.
out of this negative
No,
crap.
no,
So it's
no.
that's what
It
I'm
is
most
about
blessed
connection.
about,
Yeah,
is meeting all you guys. So
I know.
all right,
It's been
love,
great.
we're gonna go on. We're
Okay.
gonna carry on our hump day.
Yeah.
Thank you for being live with me.
Okay. Well,
I
thank
appreciate it.
you. All right.
Till next time, you guys. See you
Take
Saturday
care.
morning at 10 a.m. for our next mini-series episode number, however many it is. See you then.
Bye.